Hello everybody and welcome to Yarn of a Kind. My name is Alicia and in today's video we're going to be talking about pattern testing. I actually recorded this video some time ago, but I delayed posting it because I was waiting for the patterns that I tested to be released. So if you're watching this now, it means that those patterns are out in the wild. I'll link them in the description box, so be sure to go and check out those patterns. I'm going to play for you some footage from my first pattern test, which was done about a week ago. And when I recorded those videos, I was in a very different state of mind. It was only a week ago, but my mindset towards pattern testing has changed so much in this 1 week. And I can't wait to share with all of you the myths that I used to believe about pattern testing, as well as what I've come to learn about it since. So let's roll the footage from the past week and then I'll come back in. Like many of you out there, I am on Instagram a lot scrolling for free patterns, and there are so many on Instagram. And I often see crochet accounts doing tester calls, but I rarely apply to be a tester because I have a very small Instagram account of like 57 followers. And I'm not very active on Instagram, so my account growth there is not great. And I feel like I don't have a wide enough audience to appeal to people who are putting out tester calls. So that's one of the reasons that I never apply. And another reason that I don't really apply for tester calls is that in real life, I know maybe a total of 2 other people who crochet, and I'm not sure if they're comfortable with me tagging them in tester calls. So those are some of the barriers that hinder me from applying. I think eventually I will muster up the courage to apply more for tester calls, but this tester call is for a very new crochet account set up by a group of 6 formers who are trying to help some children in hospice care. And I thought that was such a great cause, and it's so wonderful of them to set up a crochet account dedicated to this mission. So I commented on their post. They didn't require testers to tag any crochet friends, so yeah, they sent over the pattern immediately, and that's what I'm going to be crocheting. It's an owl. I'll put the picture in here. I'm rather conservative when it comes to choosing colors for my crochet projects, so the colors for this owl are just going to be brown, a darker brown, and white. And I'm going to be using my new Toucan yarn from Hobbii. I got these a few weeks ago and I can't wait to try the yarn and let you know what I think of it. So I've just finished the body of the owl and now I'm gonna change color and continue crocheting with the head. I think I mentioned in a previous video that I'm not a huge fan of color changes, but I've been watching a few videos about how to master color changes and I think I've warmed up a bit more to the idea. Can't say that I love it, but I think it's a necessary skill if I want to crochet amigurumi well. So I'm gonna work hard to master the skill. One of the videos that I watched recommended doing a single row of slip stitches in order to make the color change cleaner. So that's what I'm trying here. So I've done one row of slip stitches. I think it does make the color change look slightly cleaner, but I still think it's not perfect. So if you guys have any tips about how to do a clean color change, please drop them in the comments below so that we can build each other up and share some tips to master this skill. I'm not sure if I have it saved somewhere, but I will try and find that video that I'm talking about and link it in the description box below if I manage to find it. And so far, I am really liking the Toucan yarn. I think it's really good quality. I love Hobie's Baby Snuggle, so the Toucan yarn is not too different from that. I think I bought the Toucan at a slightly higher price than I did the Baby Snuggle yarn. I usually get Baby Snuggle when it's on discount, so it's usually £3.85 because I'm located in the UK. And it's pretty steep, but I think for the Baby Snuggle yarn, I don't mind paying that much. This may change, but I think the chenille yarn in general in the UK here is around £3 to £4 anyway. So the Hobie pricing is not super far off and I really like the quality. I am now done with the body and the head, and the next step is to sew the top shut. But I think I'm going to do the eyes and the wings first because I want to secure my safety eyes on in the body. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing next. I was trying to close the magic circle and I yanked the yarn so hard that it broke, and that's the first time for me. But we are done with both of the eyes and I think they're going to fit quite well here. I wonder what size safety eyes I should use. Maybe 14 mm, maybe 16 even. I'm not entirely sure how this happened, but I ended up using two different sizes of safety eyes. I don't know if you can tell in the video, but one is a 12 mm eye and one is a 14, I think. I like the bigger one, so I'm gonna go with the 14mm eye. I can't pluck these safety eyes out, so I think what I might do is I might make another owl, but I crocheted an additional eye so that I can finish this pattern test properly. And I want to submit a good photo and not have one where the eyes are differently sized. You live and you learn. Alright, 14mm. And we are set for assembly now. The wings use the same steps as the eyes, but you sew them in half. They go on the sides. Okay, I'm really excited to put this owl together and sew the top on. And I'm back. So to wrap up that portion of the video, I'm going to show you the little owl that I crocheted. I think this is just such a precious pattern. Just look at those giant eyes and the wings. Oh, it's so cute, and I'm pretty proud of how neat my color change is. Can't you see that straight line? Oh, can you believe that? I'm so proud of this little owl, and I can't wait to make a Hedwig version of it. And it's gonna be such a long time before I can get around to doing that because I have so many other projects to do, but at some point it's gonna happen. So I sent off my feedback to Threading Hearts, and I think I was just on a high after that. I was feeling really confident. So I went on a tester call hunt on Instagram, and I just went for it. If I saw a pattern that I really liked, I just worked up the courage to drop a comment, apply, and do all the necessary things to apply to be a tester. And then I got chosen for my second pattern testing. And when I saw the DM from the creator, I was so excited that I was shaking. My heart was racing, my hands were shaking, and I just went to my husband. I was like, oh my god, I got chosen to be a pattern tester. And it was just so exciting to be chosen. So thank you, Spirit of Toys, for choosing me to do your pattern testing. I just really appreciate it. I feel so honored. The pattern that I got chosen to test is her Fantasy Toads pattern, and can you believe how cute this pattern is? At this moment, I still haven't sewn everything together yet. So here's the body. Here are the eyes, the hands, and the legs. There's also a tiny little crown and the star, as well as a little bow for the back of the frog. So I'm gonna sew this frog together, and then I'm gonna come back on and continue the video. Sewing this toque took way longer than I expected, but it's so worth it. Look at how whimsical it looks with the crown, the bow at the back, and then the legs dangle. It's so cute. So definitely go and check out this pattern by Spirit of Toys. It's linked in the description box below, and so cute. Look at how it can sit down. Oh my goodness, so cute, so cute. Being chosen by Oksana from Spirit of Toys gave me another confidence boost, and I applied for another pattern test, and I got to test out this little ice cream kitty by Lady Jackknife. This pattern was no-sew and it worked out really quickly. I was so excited to get started, and I just love the little ice cream drip. I love the cone, and I think this baby snuggle yarn in curry was just the perfect color for it. Mint chocolate chip is my favorite ice cream. The pattern is just so clear about how to crochet everything, and it's really beginner friendly, so definitely recommend it. Even if you're a beginner, you can make one of these for yourself, and it's just adorable. And thank you so much to Lady Jackknife for choosing me to test this pattern for you. I am cheering you on, rooting for you, and hope that you create many more great patterns like this. So after doing these 3 pattern tests, I was reflecting on the whole process of being a pattern tester, a new pattern tester. And I was just thinking that I want to encourage anyone out there who is thinking of applying to be a pattern tester, and maybe you are like me, feeling uncertain and anxious about it. Here are some tips for all of you. If you're thinking, I need to have hundreds or thousands of followers in order to be chosen as a pattern tester. This is a myth. At the time of doing all three of these pattern tests, I have less than 100 followers on Instagram. And the truth is that I have a very small Instagram account. And despite that, I was still chosen to be a pattern tester. So if you're thinking that you really need to grow your Instagram account before you can even apply to be a pattern tester, that is just not true. Thank God. You may also be thinking, I need to have hundreds of posts on Instagram, and this is also not true. You definitely need to have your work displayed on Instagram because it's kind of like a work portfolio, and when pattern designers choose testers, they're going to want to see what your work is like because they want to make sure that your work is of a certain standard and quality. So think of your Instagram as kind of a work portfolio that you're presenting as you're applying to be a pattern tester, and I would say maybe 15 to 20 posts is a good amount for the designers to be able to see what your work is like. Make sure you try out a few different projects and post your work on there so that they can see that you are able to crochet a variety of things. A lot of tester calls will have some criteria that you need to meet. For example, you need to follow the designer, you need to like, save, and share the post, you need to comment that you want to test out the pattern, and sometimes you will need to share what kind of yarn you will be using, and usually they'll ask you to tag 2 to 3 crochet friends. And for the longest time, this put me off because I felt like I need to have crochet friends before I can test, and I think this is also sort of a myth. I don't think you need to have a lot of crochet friends. What I would recommend is to look out for Instagram accounts where the crocheter puts in their profile that you can feel free to tag them in pattern tester calls and just make a note or even a list of those people. It wouldn't hurt if you reached out to them, just drop them a DM and say, hey, is it okay if I tag you in tester calls? I'm a small creator and I just really want to try out pattern testing. Is that okay? Is that alright with you? And people are more than happy to be tagged in tester calls. I know that I am, and I put that in my profile as well. So if you're looking for someone to tag, you can always tag me. I'm happy to be tagged. And that way you can make a few crochet friends and just build up a little community step by step. So those are some of the myths that I needed to dispel for myself in terms of pattern testing so that I could really step out of my comfort zone and go for it. And now I have 5 tips for anyone who's looking to be a pattern tester. Tip number 1 is to look out for smaller crochet accounts. So if you look at those really famous, really well-known, really established crocheters, they usually have like hundreds and thousands of Instagram followers, and everyone wants to be their pattern tester. So they have so many people to choose from and they get like hundreds of comments, and it's easy for your comment to get drowned out, and it may be discouraging if you only apply for those kinds of tester calls. So what I've done is I look out for some smaller crochet accounts, people who are just getting started. I apply for their tester calls because maybe they've just written their first crochet pattern and they're really nervous about putting it out, and I feel like I can encourage them by applying for their tester call. And when I give feedback to them, I like to point out the positive things that I see in their pattern, the things that I really like, so that it motivates them and encourages them to just keep going and keep crocheting and keep creating more patterns. So that's tip number 1, to go and encourage the smaller creators. Tip number 2 is to make sure that you do have experience with crocheting, and that's why it's important to build up your work portfolio as well, because as you crochet more and you gain more experience with reading patterns, you kind of know what to look out for in a pattern and what makes a good pattern. So when you give feedback to the pattern designers, you can really give some solid feedback and really help them to improve their pattern. And you can even suggest changes that they can make to make their pattern better. So I would really recommend that you get lots of experience, or as much experience as you can, with crocheting different patterns from different creators, and try to notice what makes a good solid pattern. Tip number 3 is to make sure that you can take good, clear photos of your work. And not only will this contribute to how aesthetic your Instagram profile looks, it also helps the pattern designers because when you give them a nice photo, they can use it to promote their pattern, and it's just a win-win situation. Try to find a nice background where you can take the picture of your work. What I do is I usually go for a walk, I bring my crochet projects along, and when I see a nice background and when it's nice and sunny outside, I just take out my phone and use the portrait mode to take a good clear photo, and I upload it to my Instagram, and it's really not too complicated, I think, and it really doesn't take too much effort to make sure that your Instagram profile presents your work in the best light possible. Tip number 4 is to pay attention to the deadlines. So for me, it's really important that I can complete the pattern testing in time in order to give the pattern designer some feedback and give them time to act on that feedback and incorporate it into any changes that they want to make to the pattern. So I try not to be overzealous and apply for too many tester calls at the same time, because if I get chosen for all of those tester calls, then I'm gonna have a really hard time meeting all of those deadlines. So I usually apply for 2 to 3 at a time, and if I get chosen for 1 or 2, great. If I get chosen for all, I think that's really unlikely. If I get chosen for none, that's okay, I try again. But just make sure that you're able to meet those deadlines so that you can help out the designer. I think some designers are okay if you ask for an extension, but I personally think that's not really good practice. So I just like to make sure that I can fit the crocheting into my calendar before I apply. My 5th and final tip is to just go for it. Rejection is a really normal part of the process. The pattern designers cannot choose everyone who comments because they just be giving out their pattern for free. So be okay to experience that rejection and just know that it's not personal at all. And one last final bonus tip before I wrap up this video is to make sure that you actually want to crochet what you're applying to test. Because you're going to be using your own yarn, you're going to be spending time crocheting that item, and if you end up with something that you don't actually like, it's just not worth it. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss out on other videos. See you in the next one!